The Garden Report is brought to you by FanDuel, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network.
Hey, Bobby Manning here. Welcome to the Garden Report. Celtics take a 3-1 lead with a win here over the Hawks here at the State Farm Arena. Josue Pavone by my side, and we just talked about Jaylen Brown's heroics in the game. Is it over now? That's the question. At 3-1, not many teams overcome that deficit unless you're LeBron James and those Cavs.
Oh, that's
with
right.
the glasses on and
People forget about
the
that.
headphones in your ears. It's a staggering deficit for the Hawks, and now they could be going into Game 5 without Dejounte Murray, who video going around social media of him exiting the court. This was as we were flying down to do the press conferences, so we don't catch this. Headbutting a referee after the game, at least making contact between their heads, whatever you want to call it, contact between a player and an official, almost always an automatic suspension, and that is going to become the biggest storyline on the Hawks side as they try to survive in Boston on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough for the NBA not to, because it's a story now, for this to be circulating, the video going across the Twitter and all that. There's going to be a talking point, right? Monday morning, and the NBA has to review this and make a decision, because that's the rule. You don't make physical contact with an official. We've seen Draymond flirt with that line, get in people's faces, get in referees' faces. We see LeBron James throw temper tantrums, but most instances, they don't make physical contact with the officials. So this one, when you look at the law, the way the players are supposed to conduct themselves with the officials, this is a big one. Regardless if there was much time left on the clock, the frustration obviously from Murray, you could sense it. But again, it's that physical contact. If he was in his face yelling at him and he was really getting close to his face but didn't make contact, then I would say I don't think there would be a suspension, especially in the playoffs. But because he made contact, I think the NBA, I don't know, I'll call it a 50-50, 50-50 chance. But again, as that video continues to circulate the internet, it really does diminish his chances of playing in Game 5.
Yeah, I think it's automatic. I don't think there's any leeway there. Playoffs, regular season.
You might be right.
I think he's gone on Tuesday, and they don't have anyone to replace him.
They really don't, man. Yeah, they really don't.
Justin Holiday, is over there. Haven't seen him at all in this series, and they're so built around that guard duo and layering them through their lineups. They're done if they don't have him. Yeah. Maybe the Celtics let their foot off the gas at the fact that he's not out there, because he has put enormous pressure on them in this series, and he commanded great defensive attention in this game. Tatum had to rotate over to block him a few times. Brown made some great contests on him in this game that held him back. But you still remember that third quarter from Game 2 where he tried to will them back. You still remember his great Game 3, I thought, in the win there in terms of blowing by defenders. He's so crucial what they do.
Yeah,
Trey has already struggled so much in this series with defensive pressure against him. They're done without this. And I did say at points tonight, this could be a series. I thought the Hawks really had a chance to win tonight with some of the runs they went on. They just couldn't complete one. And when you go on the road down 3-1, that's tough to begin with. If you don't have Murray, I think they have next to no chance.
New customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with you, Bobby. I mean, Hunter, he had a career night in Game 4. That production was huge for them, especially in the first half, especially when they went on that 9-0 run and had a chance to tie things up before halftime. But can he do that again in Boston? That's tough. That's a tough ask. You look at other guys like John Collins. I mean, I asked Snyder before Game 3, like, how do you unlock him? And he's giving me a bunch of other names. I'm just like, well, Collins can really change things if you could find a way to get him going. And even though he hasn't been, when you look at the last few seasons, this year was certainly a step back. I thought that at least in one of these games, you would have a 14, 15, 16-point night, or at least that kind of explosion in the second half when these guys really needed it. But he's just been a ghost. He hits a 3 every now and then, but he just hasn't been a factor on the offensive end for these guys. Whereas the Celtics continue to build momentum and continue to build momentum on the other end, where the Atlanta Hawks are having a tough time scoring, and that's on the defensive side with the way Robert Williams has been playing.
Regardless, we all picked the Celtics in 4 or 5
guys
in this series, so nothing unexpected here. I did find it surprising that the Hawks were rather able to challenge the Celtics in some ways in this series, push them a little bit.
Yeah.
These have been 2 good games down here we've watched in Atlanta. So that's the Hawks side. The Celtics side, what do you think the key is for them closing out this series? Not just that, but feeling good about going against Philadelphia on Saturday, because that will be game one if they close it down on Tuesday.
I mean, that's got to be the motivation in itself, right? Knowing that you have the Philadelphia 76ers on ice waiting for you, and you have home court advantage. So why hop on a plane again if you don't have to? Go out there, continue to do what you've been doing, and I think they get the job done. I mean, that's sort of been the saying throughout the series. Just keep doing what you've been doing ever since the game ones and game two when they blew them out, and you just saw the Celtics just have just too many offensive weapons for the Atlanta Hawks to keep up with. So I'm going to go with that. You know, more of the same. Robert Williams, man, what a game out of him.
Rob's a big one.
That was huge. Best performance of this series so far, and you want to see more of that, especially when he comes into the game, you know, off the bench, giving you that spark. Malcolm Brogdon did a lot of that, especially in the second half, where the Atlanta Hawks found some momentum, and the Celtics came right back. And then to close things out the way they did, I see that happening again in Boston. How can the Atlanta Hawks respond? I don't know, trade drops 40 plus just to make things interesting. I mean, there's just a lot of what ifs, or there's a lot of Hawks playing their best, or putting together their best offensive performance like we saw in game two. But without Murray in the fold, that's really difficult, and I just don't see that happening in game five.
Rob's the key. You want to see that performance sustained, and Joe said that tonight. Do it consistently. And one day off, can he play these amount of minutes again, make this kind of impact? That's what we'll be looking for right now, right as we head back to Boston.
Right.
Like you said, don't come back to Atlanta. We wouldn't mind. We've had a great time down here.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I think this is done in 5.
I mean, about both things, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you, Bobby.
I
think the series is done in 5. And you know what, too, to piggyback on that, Jason Tatum, man, again, just showing his maturation up to this point, looking back on last season and how crucial Game 5 was throughout those, you know, second and third rounds before the NBA Finals, right? They didn't take things too seriously, or at least the way he put it, they approached the game too lightly. And in both instances against the Milwaukee Bucks and the Miami Heat, they were on the brink of elimination. So he knows, looking back on that, to not take things so lightly and to close things out when you get the chance to, because you don't always want to end up in a Game 7. Not saying that would be the case in this one, but make things easier on yourselves and make sure you have the team at best, you know, health-wise towards the end of this NBA Finals run, because I do think this team is that talented to get back to the NBA Finals.
Tatum shot 16 for 42 down here. You will be looking for him to bounce back as well. That's it for us down here.
Yes, but keep getting to the free throw line, though. That's a good thing, though. But yeah, for sure.
12 free throws tonight. Great. Thank you, everybody, for following our coverage down here. Josue Pavone, Bobby Manning, big shout out to Amit as well, our producer down here.
Yes, sir.
Helping us out and shooting everything. And, of course, Jimmy and John back home. Check them out on the post-game show. We're back to Boston on Tuesday, Game 5 coverage live on Celtics All Access, CLNS Media. Check out all the pressers and our Jalen segment from tonight, and Celtics post-game on Tuesday night after the game. Thanks again, everyone.
The Garden Report is brought to you by FanDuel. Sign up at FanDuel.com/Boston and get in on the action with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet.
The Garden Report is brought to you by BetterHelp. If you want to live a more empowered life, therapy can get you there. Visit BetterHelp.com/Garden today to get 10% off your first month. This edition of the Garden Report is also brought to you by Athletic Greens. Visit athleticgreens.com/garden for a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase.